Hey, everybody. Just making sure everything's working. Beth, I think you're up first.
Oh, hi everybody. My name is Beth. I'm the owner of Abby's Attics Creation. I live on Cape Cod, Massachusetts. I've been in the laser industry now for roughly 5, 6 years. I originally started out, I became disabled from some nerve problems that I have, and I started with yarn. And it all snowballed from there when COVID hit, and I had to make masks, and I was trying to find faster ways to cut the fabric other than hand. And I picked up a laser, and here I am now.
All right, guys, and I'm Erik. Um, Relatively new to xTool. I got my first laser last year around this time, but come a long way in 8 months, and xTool really enabled that success. So we got our first laser in September 2024. Um, Quickly acquired two other lasers, made it up as a pro hub, opened a retail store. Now we have 7 lasers, a 3,000 square foot retail store, and really xTool enabled that growth in the span of 8 months. And that's where I came from. So this webinar is going to be about xTool for beginners and cashing in on the holidays. So we've got a pretty wide range of things lined up today. There's going to be projects on, I think, 4 different machines. We're going to talk through the xTool lineup and go from there. So I'm going to click over to the first part where we're going to go over the lineup here. And let me add Beth into this one so she can chime in. Sorry about that, Beth.
No
So
worries.
really xTool does a lot of things. So I'll talk to this pretty quickly, but they have a mission, and it's really to empower beginners and makers to bring ideas to life through 3 separate pillars of what they do. It's smart, safe, and scalable hardware, intuitive and intelligent software, and a thriving content ecosystem for learning and growth. And let's break that down into a few things. So speaking of their beginner-friendly hardware design, like I mentioned, xTool was my very first laser. Um, every machine they build really is built to meet creators where they are in their journey. So they're all safe, plug and play, they're expandable, and they all have a modern and approachable design. Talking through the lineup a little bit here, we'll go into detail on some of these as we go through them, but their current lineup, most of them anyway, are the F1, which is a little portable diode and IR laser for small projects. It's perfect for craft shows. The F1 Ultra, which think of it as the F1's bigger brother. So dual laser power. It's got a 20-watt fiber and a 20-watt diode. It's great for metal, wood, leather, and more. The F2 Ultra, which is the latest version in the F series. So that's even more powerful. It's got a 60-watt MOPA fiber laser and a 40-watt diode, and is more production ready. Going into some of their gantry lasers, so we have the S1, which we'll show today on one of our projects. The S1 has interchangeable modules. I have the 40-watt diode, but it's a diode laser, and it's very entry level, and it's an enclosed desktop, super easy to use. There's the P2S, which is it was their flagship CO2 laser. It's 55-watt CO2 laser. It has a bunch of automated technologies built into it, curved surface engraving, and dual cameras. And of course, their P3, which they just came out with. So if you haven't seen that one, it's the P2S on steroids. It's larger, it's faster, and it's more powerful. Why they're beginner friendly? They're all safe with enclosed designs, no goggles required. They have built-in cameras for visual alignment, except the F1, but all of the upgrades to the F1 do. And most of them have automatic air assist and focus, and they all have guided setup and tutorials right within the software. Which, speaking about the software, xTool Studio just released like a month ago, roughly. Awesome, lots of new features. It has a unified design and control. It makes it feel more like an app than an engineering feat. So it's a really great software, super easy for beginners to get started. There's material presets, so you don't have to do any guesswork. There's a bunch of AI features like image tracing and photo processing. There's cameras, camera alignment and preview. You can connect to everything wirelessly, and you can work it from your app or your desktop or laptop. So it's one interface that covers pretty much every xTool device. A little bit more about how they help beginners. So again, There's built-in project libraries where you can see what others are doing. I know Joe's watching this live stream. She uploaded one for a brass coin on the F2 Ultra the other day, for example. You can click that, load the image, load the settings, just process and go. So xTool makes it super easy to really do that and not have to worry about learning everything up front. They also have the xTool Academy and a tutorial library. So if you haven't checked out xTool Academy, that is online. You can watch videos on how to do things. There's a project gallery. There's tons of Facebook groups out there. All the xTool official groups are fantastic. And then there are pro hubs where you can do events and try machines in person or do demos online. So really what this helps you to do with xTool is to start small. If you don't have a laser, you can grab something like an F1 or an S1, or even go up to a P2, P2S, and then you can grow your skills and expand your tools the more you grow like we did. We started with one laser and grew from there. And then the xTool ecosystem will scale with you from your first engraver to a full-time business. So with that, I think I covered everything and I tried to get through it pretty quickly. How xTool can really help folks get started through the three facets of what they do, which is hardware, software, and just an intuitive content library. And I think that's all I had to cover. Beth, do you have anything to add before we jump into your first project?
I don't think so.
All right, great. I'm going to go backstage for this one. I'm going to pop you up. Beth is going to start with something on her P3. Hey, Beth, we can't hear you if you're talking. I'm just popping back in.
I wasn't talking.
Okay, cool.
I didn't grab my wood. I forgot all about that. Okay, so I just loaded some MDF in there and I have to pull up my software. Let me see. Can you add my screen once I pull up Studio?
Yep, go ahead and pull up Studio. I'll make sure your screen's shared.
All right, I'm just gonna have to share the entire screen. So I'm here in Studio and I'm gonna start with my engrave and etching process first. I'm going to connect my machine, which you do right here in the upper corner.
Hey, Beth, real quick, we forgot to do the gift card giveaway. So while you're figuring that out, let's go ahead and do the first $50 gift card. Just a second here. So, all right, everybody, drop a comment with your dream xTool machine to win a $50 gift card. Also, don't forget there's a 10% off coupon code during the webinar. It's watch10. So put in code watch10. It's 10% off of any machine, which is a crazy deal. So especially if you're grabbing something like a P3 or a F2 Ultra, that's like what, $650 off an F2 Ultra. So go grab that.
That's a super great deal. So what I did is I took a picture of my bed so I can have proper placement exactly where I want this to go. I am going to turn off my cut layer because with the P3 you do remove the nozzle while engraving and etching. And the reason why they have you do that is because you get a buildup on the nozzle, first of all, from wood glue and debris, but also it makes it so that the air isn't focused directly where the beam would be coming out. It kind of distributes the air so you don't get as much soot or anything around your engrave. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to set up all my settings for my engrave and my etching. Right now, this is the etching part. And I'm going to do 75 power. .275 speed for that. My engrave is already set. I am going to bump that up, my lines per inch, to 120. As you can see here on this, what I do for like where it says gingerbread, I do an outline, but I do it inverse and it's a little bit smaller. That way I know where I'm going to be placing my pieces exactly and they're straight and everything is lined up perfectly. But let's go ahead and start this. I like to use manual mode, so that's what I'm using. It can be done all in the auto mode. I'm just very old school and like to do it all myself. But the auto mode works very well. It's going to pop up this screen next. It's going to give you a preview of what's going to happen. And for this engrave and etch, it's only going to take 11 minutes. With the P2S, it probably would have taken about 17 to 20 minutes to do. So it's definitely a huge time saver as well. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to close the lid now. And I'm going to hit start. And I have to come over here and hit the button on the P3.
And then while that's going, were we going to switch over to me starting mine and then switch back over to you?
Yes.
Cool. All right, so I'm going to pop that in the back for a minute. All right. So I'm on the wrong tab. So what we're going to do on the P2S today, and then we're going to do a similar thing where we're going to start mine and then we're going to come back uh, to another project while this engraves, is a tumbler. So anyone who knows me knows that that's a lot of what I do through my business, through the education, through everything that we offer. We do tumblers a ton. So what we're going to do is a Christmas tumbler, since this is about the holidays, and we're going to do a 40-ounce wrap on a dupe. So I just grabbed this design offline and I have a tumbler here, and we're going to go through the steps of setting up your laser and setting up the tumbler. So I'm actually going to switch this back over to the big view. So of course, what you want to do first is take off the top and take off the handles. So we do have screwdriver over here. And I'm actually going to switch this view and go down in here. Hold on just 1 second. We're going to switch the camera. So I can do this while I talk. So I'm going to step out of view for a second, but I'll be over here. So you just unscrew the bottom to remove the first screw, and then unscrew the other guy. Now, normally, you would have to bend the tabs down, but I'm using a riser that actually lets you get up above those, so you don't have to turn those down. And I'm also using a lens that's a little different, so I won't have to bend those down. And then to set up the tumbler, you're gonna just screw it on here. Usually you would use the grips. I got this grip online. It's from a guy on Etsy, but it's a quick little way to screw in a tumbler to the actual, it's a 40-ounce tumbler jig. So it fits the Stanleys and it fits the knockoff Stanleys. Let me turn this over here so you can hear me, see me as well. So once that's on there, what you have to do is level the tumbler. Again, this is another like Amazon find or Etsy find. I can't remember. I've had it for so long, but it's essentially just a bigger version of the level that comes with the RA2. Now, if you have just the little bubble level, the tiny one, you're going to want to put it down here at the bottom and level from the bottom of the cup. But if you don't, if you have one of these big ones, you can just level it straight across. And then what you have to do from there is get the focus correct. So I'm in tray 4A on the riser base. You do have to have the riser base. And what we're going to do is make sure that our focus is where we want it to be. This laser is on xTool's site. It's made to fit into their RA2 rotary. It provides a green light to show you the center line of the tumbler. And it's a super easy way to make sure that where you think you are is where you actually are, if that makes sense. And then we'll have to close the lid to get the dot to appear. There we go. So I'm not sure if you can see that from there. I'll move the camera down. You want the red dot at the highest part of the tumbler on the P2 and the P2S. So what I've done is set it right above where that dip is. If you want to line it up, sort of that's where the tab is. So you want to be, between the tab and the bottom of here, but I try to get right on the ridge if I can. And you want it to be on this green line or your center mark if you have another way to mark it. So that's the easy part, getting it all set up. I'm going to close this lid down and we're going to switch views over to the screen share. All right, so what we're going to do now is come into Studio and prep everything. So first of all, you're going to want to make sure you're connected to your P2S. You're going to want to make sure you're in chuck mode, and then you're going to go ahead and set your perimeter. So that's also known as your circumference. It's the distance around the tumbler. I happen to know that a 40 ounce is 315 millimeters around, but if you don't know, grab a tape measure and wrap it around the top, and that's where you're going to get your perimeter from, but it's going to be 315 millimeters. And then let's do a quick refresh of the background. And then we're going to do a quick autofocus. And then from here, you want to make sure your design is the correct size. So we're going to make sure the design is 315 millimeters wide to match the circumference, and that the height is the height of the tumbler or the height of the area that we're doing. This is a full wrap. So top to bottom, this is 235 millimeters. And then we're going to actually rotate it around, since that's the top of our tumbler and this is the direction we want it to go. On the P2S, you do need to rotate it so that it's upside down. On the S1, you need to do it at a 90-degree angle. So it would be up and down instead of this way. It would look sideways, but that's the way that it engraves. And then we're going to take a close view to make sure that we are where we think we are. And we're just going to zoom way in to make sure we get it pretty close here. And we're going to line it up with the top there. If you want to double check it, I've learned that on my P2S specifically, the bottom of the tumbler, I guess, since it's closer to the center, I'm not sure, but it tends to be a more accurate gauge of where we actually are. And sometimes I end up being over the top band on the top picture. So yeah, I'm going to move it up to about here. That's going to be over that reflective line, which is kind of where that edge of the tumbler really is. Actually, I'm going to move it just a smidge more. And then I'm going to set my settings. So I have some settings pre-saved for these, but what I'm going to do is 75% power, 250 speed, and 120 lines per centimeter. That's going to get through it pretty quick. If this was super fine detailing in this design, I might want to bump that up to like 140, 160. If it was a white tumbler, I might bump this up to 80. But these are the settings that I'm going to use for this one. And then real quickly, what I do have to do, because I have a different lens in here, is subtract 10 out of my focal distance. I'm going to hit process. But then before I start it, we're going to go back over just to show you guys. I'll jump back over here. we're going to go back over into the machine before we actually start it, and we're going to rotate it so that the tabs are up. That way our design is where we think it is. Because when we drag it from the side over there, we're telling it where to start the design. And if you start it from somewhere different, then it's not going to look like you want it to look. So back into here, we're going to hit start on the machine, and then we're going to let that go. All right, so while that's going, I'm going to switch back over to Beth, and she's going to start her second project. Hey, Beth, you don't have audio.
I muted myself.
There we go.
Sorry about that. So I wanted to answer a question that I seen in the comments from Butch asking with the P3 if you have to take the handle off. So with the P3, you would use the RA3 rotary. And so it all depends on what you're doing. So I have a cup here. If you're doing a full wrap like this, yes, you would take the handle off. If you're doing just something like right here, no, you do not have to take the handle off. You can leave it on. So I hope that helps you, Butch. We're going to switch over now to the F2 Ultra. Yeah, I hope you guys can see that. And we're going to engrave a pumpkin today, seeing as it is Halloween. And I need a new pumpkin because my puppy decided he was hungry and he ate half of my last pumpkin. So I'm going to switch over to my screen again. And this is the pumpkin we're going to be engraving. I already set the power and everything. So for this, I am going to use 90% power at 300 speed. And I did already focus it. I manually focused it. And how you would manually focus your laser is on your controller right here. And you just use these up and down arrows, and that's how I focused it. Another thing you want to do is you want to frame it to make sure it's going to be where you want it. So with this, you can do just like a rectangular outline of it, which it'll just be a square where it's showing. I like to do the outline of the actual project. And as you can see, it'll show you the actual face that we're going to be making and exactly where it's going to lay. So that's what I like to do. Everybody is a little bit different. You can autofocus it too, but for pumpkins, I prefer to manually focus it. Just like for Christmas balls, I like to manually focus it as well. So I am going to close this down. I'm going to hit process. And it's sending over now, and then you just hit start on the controller. And you know what? I actually messed up. I think I'm using the fiber laser and not the blue light. That's exactly what I did. Which isn't gonna hurt it. It ain't gonna do much to it. It'll probably just mark it up a little bit. I'll show you. See, it didn't really do anything. It just marked it. So I'm actually gonna run it again under the blue light the right way this time. You can, however, if you needed to do a cleanup pass after, you can use the MOFA or the fiber and do a cleanup pass after. But I do 2 passes, and it usually is pretty fine. And really, all it's doing when you're doing a pumpkin, because I've had people ask me also if it was going to like get wet or get ruined inside. Basically, all you're doing is you're cauterizing the skin. So it's basically sealing that skin as it's fibering it away anyway. So there's not really going to be any moisture. And the pumpkin actually lightens up where you engraved over, like the next week or so. You'll see it get a lot lighter. It'll be almost white. And then you can carve it out and put a candle in it. Run it one more time. I am very conservative with doing the speed for this because I don't want it to go all the way through. So, and each pumpkin is different. They have different densities to them. This is actually looking better now. I probably should have did 200 speed and we would have been fine. I will say, doing pumpkins does stink. You will smell it a little bit.
That is so cool. Also, guys, don't forget there's a 10% off code during this thing. So if you want to engrave pumpkins with the F2 Ultra, watch 10.
And hopefully my dog doesn't eat half of this one up. And here it is. As you can see, it is pretty deep. It got through all of that. You could just clean that up with just a regular wipe. But all of this area right here, it'll all lighten up over the next couple of days and it will be almost white. And Erik, what are you going to be doing next?
So next we're going to do what is it? Oh yeah, we're gonna do ornaments next. But real quick before we do it, there's another giveaway. So it's time for the second $50 gift card giveaway. Um, Tell us your must-make holiday item with xTool for a chance to win the second $50 gift card. And also, don't forget about the 10% off code that's available during the live stream. The code is watch10. It's down at the bottom. It's only valid for 5 days. So if you're planning on buying a laser, that's a pretty great deal. All right, we'll give everybody a minute or two to spam in their holiday items. Beth, I think you had a couple questions about your settings, by the way. Oh, she disappeared. Hold on. All right. Well, hey, Beth, you had a couple questions about the settings on your pumpkin. You're muted.
I messed them up, but it's all right. I started with the fiber laser. I don't know why I did that, but he's all cleaned up now.
Can you share what settings you were using for that?
I did 90 power and 300 speed, which normally works, but this is like a very dense pumpkin, so I had to do 3 passes. But typically 2 passes will get you pretty deep.
Awesome. That's super cool.
Isn't it?
And the
And then
light
I'll just cut out the
and-
bottom, scoop it out, and then put a candle in it.
Very cool. All right, so I'm going to jump into the second project. For this one, we are going to do ornaments on the xTool S1. Let me switch the scene here. All right, so I have this camera lined up with the S1. And let me also share my screen. Okay, let's get out of that project and into gingerbread ornaments, but not that one because that was on a bigger machine. So what we're going to do real quickly is we're going to engrave these cute little gingerbread ornaments. These are multi-layer ornaments, so they're actually really great for families. There's 3 different sizes in this file. There's a little one, a medium one, and a huge one, and I'll show all of them to you finished when we get out front to put these together. But to start, I just wanted to go through, how to actually set this up on the S1. And I've already done the framing and the measurement, but we're going to redo it for the sake of the video. So I'm going to switch these out to make this one big. I'm going to pop in front of the other thing for a minute. So the first thing you're going to want to do is to set your focus on the S1. So to do that, these are 2 pieces of wood that are stained different colors because we're doing the base tray as a gray, and then we're doing the gingerbread men as a different stain. So they're the same thickness and the same piece of wood. I just sliced it down the middle, and then we're going to throw those in there. To set your focus, we're going to come back over into xTool Studio, and it's really simple on the S1. You just click the auto measure button, and it's going to drop down, find the focus. It goes and resets on the right side of the machine, and then it's going to come back. Now, once we have our focus set on the S1, we need to know exactly where we're engraving since this machine doesn't have a camera. It does have an add-on where you can use different little magnets that you put on your honeycomb bed. You can print out stickers and take a picture of your bed and upload it. I'm not doing that today, though. That's what this button is. Here is obtain background through the XCS mobile app. We're just going to do it the old-fashioned way and mark our processing area. And we're going to do it using rectangles. So we hit mark processing area, we click rectangle and start marking. Now on this one, all you have to do is mark 2 different points on a rectangle. So we're going to go all the way to the back left on this board, then front right. And then we're going to hop back over to XCS and hit end marking. And then we're going to mark a second rectangle. So you need to up to the top left like this other one. And hit and marking. Now we have our two rectangles, we can click done. And then those two rectangles are where our pieces of wood are, right? So I know that these are good to go. With this, we're going to use xTool's pre-made settings. So what I did was I set the material as basswood plywood because that's what it is. And then I have three separate color layers, black, green, and red. The black is going to be our cut line. So if you select everything that's black, you can see I used a one-click set here, and we're actually going to bump this up a little bit or slow it down a little bit to 100 power, 12 speed. For the cut lines on the red, which is what we're going to engrave, we're going to again use the one-click set, and we're going to use this one because it looks like it'll look pretty nice. So you just click that button there and it's set. And then on the green, which is going to be our score, we're going to, of course, select the score line and do the one-click set again. So once that's done, we can go ahead and close the top, hit process, start, and then we hit the button on the or on the S1, sorry, excuse me. So that's going to go ahead and get started. Now, we don't have to sit here and wait the 6 minutes for this to be done, though. What we're actually going to do is go on a trip out front, and I'll show you what they look like completed, and then we'll do the second part of this. This is a two-parter. We're using two different machines, and we'll do that. So give me just 1 second. You can leave that there. All right, sorry about that. I'm not sure if my audio is actually working or not. So I've turned this down, and we're going to take a quick break right here, and we're going to look at just a couple things about how we take our product pictures. So as you can see here, we do have a photo booth set up. Now, this is important because you can make all the cool products in the world, but if you don't take great pictures of them, they're not going to sell, right? So this is our photo booth, and I'm actually going to just stand over here and talk. At your house, you don't have to have a super fancy one. This is just something that we found that works. You can decorate it for the seasons, and you can get really great portrait quality photos straight on to put on your website. But as we're talking about the ornaments, let's take a walk over here. This is how we set up at craft shows. As you can see here, these are the little gingerbread people as I put together on the thing, but they're not done yet. So if it will focus, there we go. These are not engraved yet, but what we're going to do is use the F1 Ultra to engrave on them. And this is how we upsell at craft fairs. So people may like just this ornament because it's cute, but if you throw names on them, they'll love them. You can do the different sizes, like I mentioned. We do ornament bars, and ornament bars are a great idea for craft shows, especially because people really do like to build their own ornaments. So we have different ones over here, but the one we're focusing on is the gingerbread ones. And as I mentioned, there are different sizes. So we have the big one, the medium one, the small one, and we print out or pre-cut a ton of the little add-ons and put them in jars and let people build them, throw on the beans, rich wine, and everything else, and we can leave with the finished ornament. So let's hop up to the front of the store where we'll jump on the F1 Ultra. And we're going to personalize these. All right, let's switch over to xTool Studio. So what we're going to do is we're going to set this laptop somewhere where I can use it. Cool. And we're going to personalize these on the F1 Ultra. I have the F2 Ultra here as well, but we're going to do it on the F1. So let me toss these in here. We should be connected. We're going to refresh our background first. And as you can see, we have our ornaments here. We're going to throw like this little guy in the middle, and we're going to use him to focus. And let me actually pull up my camera so you can see exactly what's going on. Just 1 second. There we go. Okay. Let's lower this down some. So we'll get that focused on there. So what we're doing is putting the red and blue dots over top of one of the gingerbread men. They're all in the same plane. And then we're going to come back into xTool Studio and we're going to hit this auto measure. Helps if you shut the lid, get you a better measurement. And once that auto measures, we're going to go ahead and drop names in here. I didn't have these sized correctly, but I did have them pre-typed. The cool thing about the F series, the F1 Ultra and the F2 Ultra are the cameras. They're very accurate. The F2 Ultra a little more so than the F1 Ultra just because it has better cameras in it. And we're just going to drag these over. There's a fly in my face. And then he has 2 dogs. This is for a friend of ours. So we told him we were doing this webinar, kind of told him like, hey, we're going to make you an ornament while we're here. So he's excited. His wife is pregnant. So we have the little mom with the pregnant belly. And to save time, we're not going to be 100% perfect on how we align this. But if we were doing this at a craft show or something, we would be. And we'd probably make this a little bigger. And I forgot the rolling pin. Hold on. Let's throw the rolling pin. He's not going to fit on there. We'll have to do the rolling pin separate. So we're going to turn this guy off. These guys are all on. Now we just have to set our settings. I have a wood engraved setting saved. We're going to hit process, start, and then I got to figure out which one of these controllers controls this machine. It's this one back here. And we're just going to let that do its thing. It should be done in, oh yeah, I don't have my filter turned on. So 9 seconds and those are done. So again, this is really great for any type of craft fair. You can do that really quickly. And then you can do the same thing with the rolling pin here. So we'll hit finished. We'll just do a quick refresh. And then we'll focus. I'll turn all of these off. Turn this one back on. This fly, guys. Turn him on. Throw that on the wood engraved setting one more time. Process. Start again. And done. So once you put them all together, where's the rest of the go? What we did also is we did put a dual tight on these. So super easy. You put the dual tight on before you cut it, and then that allows you just to peel and stick. So we're not sitting in a craft fair gluing, right? We can just peel this off, stick them all together. And then there's still 1 or 2 left that she didn't get glued on while we were in our little break. But we have finished product. So use ornament bars, guys. That's a great way to increase revenue. You can bring all the pre-made ornaments you want, but letting people build them, either if they're pre-cut, throw a name on them, throw something like that together, and it goes a long way. All right, I'm going to hop back over to you, Beth.
So I saw somebody ask, they saw my speed, but they didn't see the power. I used 90 power for the pumpkin. I did use 300, but I think if I, for speed, I think if I did do 200 speed, it would have done it in 2 passes. But again, every pumpkin is slightly different, so you kind of have to go with what you got. So I did finish cutting this out. As you can see, there is some char, but this is white MDF. So you just take a wipe and literally just wipe it clean. I've had this stuff for years and I never actually use it. I always just end up painting and then doing it. And I now discovered that I like this stuff. So I will be using it going forward. So as you can see, it doesn't take much to clean it up. It's really just wiping it all down. And it's all clean now. I am cutting the rest of it out right now. It's going to take a couple of minutes to do, but then I can show you how I just simply place the things right over where I etched so that I knew where to place them. Does anybody have any other questions?
See a message from someone asking how they can order. All you have to do is go to xTool.com. You have 5 days to use the code WATCH10, and then you'll get 10% off. So that's a pretty great deal. Just xTool.com. If you're in North America, I think there's a different one, or there's a different one for Australia. Depends on where you are, but it's all xTool something.
And you want to give them the code again?
Yeah, it's WATCH10. I don't know why it keeps disappearing on me. I keep turning it back on. It keeps running away. The code's at the bottom, guys. 10% off, WATCH10. Only valid for 5
And that's good for 5 days.
And I think we have one more. We got through this a lot quicker than I thought we would.
We did pretty good.
So good for us. We do have one more gift card to give away. So if there are no other questions, we can get to that, I think. All right, let's do the $100 gift card. So this is the big one. Share your number one takeaway from the live stream to win a $100 gift card. I'll leave this one up for a few minutes.
Also, guys, these are the biggest discounts and gift cards that xTool has done during any of these live demos. So I don't think they're going to be doing them again for any more demos this big. I mean, they could. We never know what they were going to do.
All right, I'm going to pull that down. Sorry, Beth, I couldn't hear you.
Oh, I was saying that these are the biggest discounts that xTool has done during any of these lives. And we don't know if they're going to do them again or if this is it for these big discounts like this. Sorry, I was getting all my pieces out of the.
Yeah, you were too far away. I have no idea what you said, but I can hear you now.
I was saying that these are the biggest discounts that xTool has done for any of these lives.
Yeah,
we don't know if they're going to do them again this big, but right now that's the biggest ones they've done. So I'm just organizing my pieces right now. I will sand all of these pieces. So as you can see, there is a little bit of like from the glue from the wood. I will sand all of these pieces, but when you etch your design into what you're going to be gluing it on, it's really just as simple as just putting it exactly where those lines are. Same thing with like the letters. What do I have the B? And you would just put it right over it and glue it on. I glue all my stuff. I use oh, let me grab it for you guys. I buy it by like the gallon. So I use Star Bond. and I buy the big bottles and I just refill these little bottles. They also come with like a small little tip that for small things like these little letters, you can just put a small amount on there so you're not getting glue everywhere. If I'm doing a big project like my flag, something like that, I do use a combination of wood glue and type bond. I mean Star Bond. You
We're
use it
huge
too?
fans too. I like the medium
Yeah.
thick most, but I do use the thick sometimes. And then get the accelerator too, especially if you're at craft shows or events. So we do a lot
Yes, it's the
hair,
best.
and the accelerator, you hit it on one side of the wood, and then on the hair clip, you put the Star Bond, and then you touch it for half a second, and it's together. You don't have to wait. There's no dry time.
Yeah, it's instant. I do that like with my flags. I'll do the wood glue and then I do my Star Bond, and I also hit it with the accelerator to make sure that that Star Bond adheres right away. You also, pro tip, you don't have to spray the other side. You can, for example, say I put the glue on this and then just put it down here. You can spray like into the corners or into the ends of it and spray it, and it'll get in there and dry it too.
Awesome. I
That
see
saved
something
me a
mentioned
couple of
using
times.
double-sided tape. The one thing I'll mention on double-sided tape is while it's really good for things like the gingerbread ornaments we just did, um, it's not the best for some things like hair clips because they have a hole in the middle. And if I were to use double-sided tape, it would be sticky in the whole center of that hole instead of just on the outside. But it just depends on what you're really doing and whether you should use something like dual tight or whether you should use something like super glue and your workflow. Some people don't like to tape off whole sheets of wood, especially if you're working with stuff the size of the P3. You may not want to throw, $5, $6 worth of dual tight on it on a $2 sheet of wood. So
Exactly. The accelerator is it's just a spray, an aerosol spray that you put on it. You don't necessarily have to use the Star Bond brand either. I have another brand right here that I use as well because I'm out of the Star Bond. But you can use pretty much any accelerator. So that's the one I have. And it's almost empty, so I have to get more. I use it a lot.
well, congrats, Marty, on the $100 gift card. Looks like they already picked that. I think that's all the questions.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Anything else, Beth, or you think we're
I don't know.
wrapping?
Does anybody else have any questions? I mean, between both of us, I think we have every single machine. I have the P3, the P2, the F1 Ultra, the F2 Ultra.
Yeah, and I've got the F1, the F1 Ultra, the S1, the P2S, and the F2 Ultra. I've got 5 xTools.
So, do you guys have any questions about any of the machines?
How to engrave real image on stainless steel military. I'm guessing like the dog tags on the F2. So there are settings. If you're doing an image, you can do it directly within xTool Studio. You can choose an image algorithm and then you can choose the settings. It depends if you're doing anodized or regular. It'll be a little different depending on which one. If you're doing anodized and it's like black and engraves to a light silver, you'll want to invert first. If not, then you don't have to. There are lots of videos out there around how to invert images, but you can do it for sure directly within the xTool software as well.
And if you're talking about taking like a photo that you took and putting it on like a stainless steel tumbler, that'll be a little bit different as well. That'll be you're best to process it in something like Image R or what's that software that you use?
Ditherboy. There is a software called Ditherboy and there's ImageR, but you can also do it right within xTool. I do have a video on Ditherboy on my channel, but there's just as many out there around doing it in xTool as well. So the good thing about xTool software is you can do pretty much anything that you need to do directly within it without having to use a third party.
So for your S1, are you using just the stock fan or do you have an inline fan connected to it?
I have an IF2. So the way I
No,
have my
no,
shop,
somebody asked the question and they're running their S1 tube outside, but they're still getting smoke in the room.
I don't have the P3, but Beth might have an answer for you.
I'm going to get to that question next. I was just talking about, I don't know if you can see it. It's from MTG Young. And he says, what do you use to keep the smoke down? I have my S1 tube connected to the outside, but I still get smoke in the room. So I'm thinking he's using just the stock fan that it comes with and not an inline fan. And he probably needs an inline.
Yeah, he's just said stock fan. I see it. So I would recommend getting an IF2 from xTool. I'm not sure if the watch tin code will work on accessories, but if it does, that would be a great deal. That's a great question. I actually don't know the answer to that, but I would definitely use the IF2 if you're routing outside. I actually use the IF2 on two lasers sitting beside each other. I have it split into two, and it's strong enough to keep up with both of them running.
Yeah, I have my IF2s that I just connected a couple weeks ago. Although I did just notice I have to fix something. I need to put something on the other side because it was back feeding into my F2 Ultra, which it shouldn't be because I have a damper on there, but always something to fix. But to get to Minna's question, question on the P3, have you used the AP2 and the IF with it? The AP2 Max is on back order. Also, still waiting for the table. Would you use a 25-inch table and just add a new top that's 31 deep? So when I got my P3, I didn't have the inline fan I had wasn't strong enough for it. It was great for just my P2 and my Fs here, but it wasn't strong enough for that. So I had to use just my AP2 and it did do the job. So I used it probably a good 3 months before I had any indications that my filters needed to be changed and washed and stuff. So it does work. It is not perfect, and I would not use them together. I would use one or the other. If you have a way to just vent it out to the outside, I would use the IF2. If you don't, I would use the AP2 until you can get the max. I hope that helps. For engraving on brass coins, please clarify the rumors of the enormous about the fine brass powder and still needing the F2 Ultra inside for a tent. I don't understand the question. Do you for the brass coin one from Jay Brown?
I haven't done a brass coin on the F2 Ultra yet. I did it on the F1 Ultra, and there was a good bit of dust, but it's nothing that the AP2 couldn't suck out. I needed
Yeah,
you could see it on the fan after. Have you done a challenge coin on the F2 Ultra? Is it any better?
that's all I do on the F2 Ultra. So there is dust. You can see it on the fan and you can definitely see it on the bed, which I obviously don't have any on my bed right now. I can probably post a picture in my group of it. I have live videos of it. Well, not live because they're pre-recorded, but I have videos of it. But it's not bad and it wipes up very easily. I mean, I clean my machines every time I use them anyways, especially if I'm doing a coin. But it's not bad. It's not like it's going to harm you in any way, or the fan pretty much sucks most of it out. Actually, you know what? I might have something on my F1.
Was my experience with the F1 Ultra.
So I do kind of have one on my F1. So I put a pre-filter. I 3D printed something to put before it goes to the fan. And this was probably like with a couple of coins being done on it and pumpkins. So, and then I just take this filter out and this one I'll just probably throw out and I replace it. So, but that was with a couple of coins and quite a few pumpkins being done.
I might need to grab that file from you. That's pretty cool.
I got it off Maker World. I can send it to you.
Oh, sweet.
It works great. I'm gonna try to design one for the F2.
I'm not sure what you mean, Mina. I see a question about any suggestions on the table, but I'm not sure unless I missed something.
Oh, I know what she's talking about. Yeah. So initially in my group, I was telling people they could use it, but I didn't think. So you have to fill that thing with water. And if you're getting the actual cart for it, you're going to have to drain that water out. Otherwise, it's going to be even a lot more heavier than what it is now. And it's already very heavy. So if you have plenty of people to help you, yes, you can do that. If not, I would wait for the cart. I know they are shipping out now. I see a lot of people in my group getting them now.
The way
So,
we did
I
our
mean, really, it's up to you.
even when we were back home, this may give people an idea of what to put it on. So even out here, we have it on the same system, just a little bigger. But back home, we just went to Home Depot and we bought 2 of the like $60 cabinets. And then we bought a butcher block countertop and sat the machines right on it. It's super sturdy, it doesn't shake, and it's inexpensive.
Yeah, for my F2, my P2, I built a cart, but I had it for a different brand laser that I had before I came over to xTool. And that thing has been like amazing. I just built it out of 2x4s and some like thick plywood for all my shelves and stuff, and it's worked great. I have whales on it. I can push it around. And I do because I change my room around like weekly.
I see a question about inline fans or using the IF2. So I use the IF2 mostly because it's automatic. I think performance wise, you'd probably need to go a little bigger. What's impressed me about the IF2 is how small it is and how much air it pushes. It's a very small fan, but it, like I said, it covers the output from 2 of my machines here. So I have it split over 2. And it just does a really good job. And it automatically cuts on and off, so you don't have to worry about turning something on and off. So when you start a job, it
Yes.
turns. When you stop a job, it cuts off.
I do sometimes have to do it manually, like I just did when I was cutting the wood for this. I had to up the fan speed because it had it on low for whatever reason. So I did have to up that, but it goes right back to where it was initially. And it does a pretty good job guessing how much speed you need out of it as well. But I have 2 IF2s and I have one connected to both of my CO2s and one connected to both of my fibers, and I can run all of them at once with no problem,
Yeah,
except the little backdraft I just got. Although it is windy outside my house today, so it could be blowing back in.
I see your other question, Mina, about the size of them. I'm gonna turn my laptop around because I don't feel like getting another camera. So there's like this is an island depth one. So if you look behind like how big that is, this is the P2S, there's plenty of room. The P3 will fit on a regular depth countertop, but it will have overhang. So because the feet are moved in. But if you get the like the island depth one, I think it's a little wider, like maybe 30 inches. It is deep, but there's plenty of room behind my P2S, so I have no doubt that it would fit a P3.
Is my other camera still live or is it in backstage?
It's in backstage. Want me to turn it on?
Yeah, let me take it off of the stand first, and then I'm still connected with a wire to the laptop, but I'm going to try to show her. All right, is it live now?
It
So
is live.
I have to watch what I'm doing too. So there's a little bit of overhang even on the actual xTool cart, but the feet are everything that's supposed to be touching is touching. I know people have been asking about the size of the feet for the P2. They're not that big. Here's one right here. I mean, it's maybe a half an inch tall. And these are the front ones. And then they have like a bar going across the middle. Direct me where I'm going. Can you see that bar in the middle there?
Yeah, there you go. No, you
So
can't see it. I see the gap.
Yeah, so there's this gap, and then there's like a bar right here that goes across the middle, and then you have small back feet again. All right, we can back room that. But the feet aren't big at all. It's everybody's worried about how tall they are for some reason. I don't know why. But I mean, there's even overhang with this card. This card is awesome. A lot of people say, "Oh, I bet you the Home Depot one is better." This card is awesome. I can push this P3 around like it's nothing on it. And I have wood stacked on it too, and like my accessories, and I can still push it around like it's light as a feather. Like literally, like just one hand.
All right. I think that's it for the questions. Guys,
I do, Mina, I do have actual pictures of the bottom on my in my group. I will connect with me on Facebook if I don't know that can they see my Facebook on here or no?
I don't know.
Probably not. I will find you in the comments here, and I'll send you a message and get those pictures to you so you can see the actual pictures. Because I know I can come back and find her. Oh, I don't know anything about running on solar. Would you know?
No. The F2 Ultra does not need a chiller.
No, he runs his shop completely on solar power. So he's asking
I was talking about the next question.
For the F2 Ultra, do you? No, you don't need a chiller.
You don't need a chiller.
You don't need a chiller for any of the X2 machines. The CO2s already have them actually built into them. Which is why on the P3 there's a hole in the middle because it helps keep it cooler.
Yeah, the cooling on the P3 is awesome.
It is. Like I've run this thing all day. Like when I was testing it, I was like 8 to 10 hours constant running. And I know my P2, I had to stop a couple of times and put a fan behind it.
Yeah, the P2, if you run it all day, it'll get up into the 30s, and that's when you got to start watching it. But the P3 seems like a great, cool machine.
I love it. I really don't see myself using the P2 as much unless I'm doing a big project where I need to like do one thing there and cut over here to save time. The conveyor system is amazing. And I'm a big user of the conveyor system because I make huge flags a lot. And it's such a huge upgrade. It's like night and day. I actually have a huge project I'll be making this weekend on it. Making a 3-foot tall gingerbread man.
The diode machines, they work a little different. To answer your question, they don't have a cooler or anything. They have the fans up top and on top of the actual module itself, where the CO2 runs it from the back and gets much hotter. So no, it doesn't. The diodes are fine. You can run those pretty nonstop. Just make sure your fans are clear. If you cut something really dusty, like if you do a lot of MDF on the diode, if you're talking about the S1 anyway, the fan is on top of the module. So you need to make sure that's clean every once in a while. You'll be able to see it when it starts caking up on like the gantry or on the Galvo machines, excuse me, like the F1 Ultra, F2 Ultra, F1. On those, you don't have to worry about it because it's so far away. Now, I think the F2 Ultra, when you're using the fiber and stuff, it can get a little hot sometimes if you have it in a hot environment. So keep it somewhere cool, like room temperature. You don't want to set it inside a 100-degree shop.
Exactly. I mean, I'm lucky. My room is down in the basement, so even when it's like 100 degrees here, it's like only 65, 70 at worst down in the basement, so I can run it all day constantly. It does get cold in the winter, so downside.
Well, use your $100 gift card and grab it, Marty.
Absolutely, and especially with the 10% off.
Yeah.
You can combine both of those.
% off. That's a great deal.
I know, that's a few $100 savings right there.
That's what, if you get the dual, it's like $64.99. So that'd be $650 plus another 100, $750 off. That's a good deal.
It sure is. I would do it. But I'm crazy and buy everything anyways. Anybody else have any other questions about any of the machines?
Machines, projects, small business stuff, whatever.
Oh, I did want to bring up too. I almost forgot about test cards
Oh yeah.
and the importance of it. I was going to show you guys how to make them, but we decided not to do that. So I have lots of test cards. These are all my test cards for the P3, just the P3 alone, plus a couple of leather patches I have right here as well. So it's very important to do these because every machine is slightly different. I mean, we do share a lot of our settings. We share all of our settings, actually. I'm not going to lie. But every machine can be slightly different. Every wood where you get it, like I might get wood from, I get it from H&H all the time, but you might get it from Smoky Hill. And they could get it from a different supplier, which uses more glue, less glue. It could be a little bit thicker. So while we do give you all of our settings and stuff, it is always best to run your own test card around the settings that we do give you. And that way you always have them. And every new batch of wood you get, I would run a new test card. You don't have to do them big. Most of mine, except for when I was testing for xTool, I do have some much bigger ones. Most of mine are only 4.5 inches.
Yeah, test cards are awesome and they're super easy to create. So if anybody doesn't know how, drop a comment and we can show you real quick.
And what
easy.
I like to do, especially for engraving, I like to pick things that have a lot of kind of little detail in them. That way you know what kind of detail you're going to get. I mean, I don't do that all the time. I do just like, you know, a regular, not a circle, but I do the circle with the point on it. I'll do that one too because it gives a little bit different. But I do 99% of the time I try to do something like that. And I always will do that circle with the point for cutting though, because it's different when you're cutting in a circle and cutting to a point. It slows down a little bit differently. So I have acrylic to add to our sheet, by the way. Can't hear you.
Sorry, I muted. Somebody dropped a comment that we might want to show how to make the cards. So I can do that really quickly since my screen share is still up. Hold on just a second. All right, so if you're in xTool Studio and you want to do a test card, it's super simple. The first thing you want to do is just draw your shape or import your object, whatever it is that you want to repeat. We'll just do a square to keep it easy. Then you want to pick whether you want to do score, engrave, or cut test.
Get rid of your background.
Get rid of my background.
Yeah, make it just like a white screen so we can see it.
I'll just move down here.
There you go.
So we have just an engraved thing here, and then all you have to do is go over here to apps and click material test array. You will want to know, what you want to start at, depending on what material you're on. Like, for instance, if you're doing wood engrave, it wouldn't make sense to start at like 1% power or to try like 10,000 speed, because you might not get, you want to try something realistic, right? So say if I was going to test wood and I want to start at 60% power and test up to 90% power or 95, and then I want to do speed from 200 to 700 maybe. And you can select how many rows you want to test. So this is going to directly affect how many different powers you're testing. So the more you add, the more granular your test array gets. The less you add, the quicker it finishes. Keep that in mind. And then you can add.
And then you can narrow it down from there for something that you like and just do another one quick test array around the speed that you like.
Yep. You can narrow it down. And then once you're done, you just click done. And then if you want to do like Beth's done with hers, all you have to do is put an outline around it to cut. So you'd want to add another rectangle and make it a cut is what that does with hers. And then add in a circle as well to put on her keychain. She probably has a template for this, but you can
I
just add
do.
a
I have
square
I
and then
have in my group, I can drop the group in the comments after. In my group in the file section, I do have some files for them. So they're already pre-made for them for 6mm wood, 3mm wood, and an engraved test card.
But yeah, it automatically sets all these settings over here. So each one of these squares, if you ungroup this, each one of these squares is a different setting. So this one's 8700, 84,700. Like you can see, it automatically does all the hard work for you. So all these different squares are different settings.
What machine are you looking to calibrate the camera for? Because there's a few different machines you would do that with.
I'm guessing one of the F series ones. F1 Ultra, there's a guide directly within the software. Let me share my screen again because I happen to be connected to the F1 Ultra, and I'll show you exactly how to do it. So if you go into the xTool Studio, and you go to device settings up here at the top, let it connect. All right, it's in one of these. Here it is. So parameter settings for this is how you do the fiber and blue light laser calibration. For the camera calibration, I'm not sure that that's actually in here, but I assumed you meant how to align the fiber and blue light. So
Yeah, because there is no, you don't calibrate the camera. It's just a regular camera. Even on the F2, you don't calibrate the camera.
But if your fiber and blue light aren't calibrated, then your thickness measurement won't be correct, and that will make your camera off. So you may want to check that, because if it thinks you're farther away from your item than you are, or if it thinks your item is closer than you are, then your view is going to look off, because it changes that to adjust for the distance or the thickness of your material. So I'd give that a try and see if it fixes your issue.
Any other questions, anyone? Or did we cover pretty much everything?
I think we covered everything.
We did a pretty good job.
I'm guessing she means the P3 when engraving. I saw that one come in. I think you mentioned you do, but I'll let you take
Yes, you take the nozzle off when you're engraving. There's a few reasons for it, but because you get a buildup on the bottom of the nozzle, that it'll affect the beam going through once it gets a thick buildup on there. But also with the nozzle, that's where your air comes from. Let me grab my nozzle. I can't show the bottom of the thing, but I can do this. So when I'm right under a light now. So when you're engraving, obviously your beam comes out of here. So the air is forced out of there. So it's like directly over where you're cutting or engraving, which is going to put a lot of that char like I got here. So when you take this off, now that air is dispersed wider, and you don't get as much char when you're engraving or scoring. If that makes sense. Yes, the live will be available later. What did she say? My fiber and blue light are calibrated, but the preview is off. Yeah, I would contact xTool support for that, because that seems, I don't know, that ain't right. I don't know why the camera would be off if you're calibrated correctly.
And yeah, the camera feature using the S1 is kind of tricky. So what you'll need to do, I think they still have them online for free where you can download them and print them, but if not, you can order them from xTool. You get little like plates. I have them somewhere, but I don't want to go digging for them, so I don't know where they are. But they're like little black and white circles. You put one on each spot where it tells you to in the app, and then you take a picture of it on the xTool Creative Space app on your mobile device, and then you connect it to your when you click the button inside of xTool Studio, it'll guide you through what to do from there. So you're going to have to click the button, have the dots already on the honeycomb bed, take a picture, it'll upload the picture through the cloud and come through on your computer. And it uses those to kind of align it. It's not a fixed camera. You do have to use it through your phone. And if you already have them, I think you just mentioned you did, then there should be a video on how to do that directly on xTool's website. I can look for it and shoot it to you later.
So if you want to cut and engrave on the P3, I turn off my cut layer and I'll engrave first. And I put the nozzle back on. And then when it's done engraving, I go back. I put the nozzle on, obviously. I go back, I turn the engrave off, and I turn the cut on. Do I forget to do that sometimes? Absolutely, just like I did, but you guys didn't see it, and I had to stop the job and run it with the nozzle on it. But what will happen if you don't, especially like with this MDF, the white MDF I was using, I was getting a flame and it was detecting the flame. So it kept stopping. I could have let it continue that way, but you will get a flame and you'll get extra char on your wood or your project because of the flame.
All right, well, that's pretty much an hour and a half. So I think we're down to 50 some viewers. I think everybody got their gift cards. We answered all your questions. Thanks so much, Beth. It was great hanging out with you.
It was great
Again.
hanging out with you too. I hope everybody enjoyed the live. Congratulations to all the winners.
Yeah, absolutely. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. We're both super helpful. Happy to help.
Yep, I will comment a couple of things in the comments so you guys know where to find me. I will drop that link so you guys can get the engrave and cut files.
Yep, I'll go on and drop some comments on my own after this is over. So thanks you guys for hanging out with us for the entire time. Catch you guys in the next one. Thanks, Beth.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.